Well, I did put some things up here for you guys to grab. I didn't put every single thing out here that I give on my home buyer consults because then it would kill too many trees, and I was starting to feel bad with the amount of stuff I already had up here. So if you want to come up and grab a set.
Oh, I was just looking at this at the computer.
Yeah, so actually a lot of this stuff, and the reason why I chose this material and not my own is because this is already there for you in agent resources on my drive. And I've noticed that no one really uses it. So there's already a there's already a generic buyer consult there. And what I did was I condensed it a little because a lot of that paper, it's like 26 pages and we don't really need 26 pages.
Can you see what, this is what everyone else did.
Okay,
there.
Yes.
So I turned your camera off, so you're the VRKW screen.
Okay. Good, they're not looking at my face then.
No, they'll be looking at the PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah.
Does that, and then they can see you from that camera there.
Okay, all right, awesome.
Technology.
Yay! You know a lot more about it than I do, that's for sure.
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, and if everyone can get signed in, that'd be great.
I just don't grab the pen.
Yeah. So, welcome to my buyer consultation and expectations class. One of the things that I specialized in when I was in new construction was setting the right expectations so that the buyers are not caught unaware, and it's already an emotional transaction, right? So like the buyer,
some more than others.
Yeah, the decision to purchase a home is highly emotional. It's an emotional purchase. And so when we can do our best to set up, let them be aware, hey, this is what can go wrong, and then this is what, on a perfect day, this is how it will go. But please expect, us to have to go over some things along the way. So in this buyer consult class, we're going to kind of put all of that together and how it looks in a buyer consult. So I have two activities today. One, I'm going to do a buyer consult with one of you, and I'll be asking questions and you'll be answering. And another is going to be a role play on how to actually do the buyer consult, because we always talk about, let's do a buyer consult or set up a buyer consult, but a lot of new agents don't know how to get from the buyer, the voice on the other side of the phone, to the buyer in your face for the actual consult and how that does. And eventually you'll be able to do a consult while you're driving on your way to another appointment. So that is the goal, to be able to get to that point in your career. So setting the right expectations for a successful transaction, what do you think that means? Setting the right expectations for a successful transaction.
Don't look at me.
What is a successful transaction?
To get it to the close.
Yeah, a transaction that's closed. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. Sometimes we think that because something's successful, it just looks like a duck, right, gliding on water, but really those little legs are working like crazy. That's what it is. That is the side, the duck gliding on water, that is the side your buyer needs to see. The little legs working like crazy, that is the backstage they don't need to see. The fact that you got into an argument with the listing agent, or that the listing agent did something wrong, but did you fix it before it got to the buyer? If you fixed it, they don't need to know. it needs to be like, all right, let's move on to the next step. So buyer consultation and expectation. So the buyer consult and the expectation in this class, we will cover the following categories. That's leading up to the consult. What phone call are we gonna make? How does that phone call look? The actual consult, and then setting the right expectations with clients, scheduling the properties, and matchmaking lenders. So when I got in the business in 2012, there were still a lot of people recovering from bankruptcies, and they were also still recovering from foreclosures. And one of the things that helped me become successful in that time was, in the midst of all that, was that I would go to team meeting, and this is not me promoting team meeting, but they would have lenders come in and talk, and those lenders would talk about their special products that they offered. And so I got to get to know a wide variety of lenders and the special products that they offered. So when I sat down to my buyer consult and I asked someone, how does your credit look? How do you feel about your credit? Tell me about your life. What has gone on in the past 2 or 3 years? And when they sat down with me and they said, well, I've been through a foreclosure and it's been about 2 years. And immediately in my head, I had 3 or 4 lenders of, okay, these are the lenders that had special products that would lend to someone that had a foreclosure. And so I didn't give them this vast list, which is why I didn't include it in today's packet, of a million lenders, because that's going to confuse them. But I did give them 3 lenders that would match what their current situation is. And I think in this coming shift that we're going to have, that is what is going to happen. We're going to have to get back into the matchmaking process. So it's not that people are not going to qualify for homes, is that people's expectations of the kind of home or the price range of home that they're going to be is going to be brought down a little bit. And so it's our job to kind of see, okay, well, this lender will do this if you are self-employed, this lender will do this, and have that database with you. You know, if I had someone with a 800 credit score, I had 3 or 4 lenders that I knew would knock it out in 20 days or 15, you know, or really fast. But if I knew someone was going to struggle along the way, I was going to choose the 4 best candidates that I knew was going to fight for that client, for that deal. And that is part of the customer service that we bring to the table, right? You want a lender that's going to fight for your client. I have literally, over the years, heard lenders say, it's not worth it. You know, it's 580, they've got collections, it's a lot of work. They're not willing to put in, and those lenders is because they're used to working with the 800 credit score over here, not with the 580s. And so that's when you learn, okay, so for these people, this is what I'm going to put, and for these people, this is what I'm going to do. And that way it helps people get to where they need to go, which is the final goal, right? So it's so rewarding when you can bring someone to the closing table and they're almost in tears and they said, I never thought that I would be able to afford a home. And that is the part of real estate that I love. And that is the part of real estate that I missed when I got into new construction, because it was so easy. So, I mean, I kind of shoot myself in the foot sometimes too, though. But I mean, it's so easy. I mean, it's not easy, but it's so rewarding when someone says, I thought my 600 credit score would never get me. It was just this long road. And then there are people that you're going to have to walk through and say, okay, why did you get declined? Tell me about that. And they'll list it out. Well, I've got this and this and this. And sometimes your lenders that are willing to fight for that, they'll tell them, this will help, this will help. to get your credit score where it needs to be for you to qualify for the home that you want to qualify for. So that is what matchmaking the lender is. Choosing the right people that are going to fight for your clients and be there for them and walk them along the way, even if it's not an immediate return. Because we're in the business of helping people, and eliminating them out of a list, you know, a financial situation is always a temporary situation. You never know where that person is going to be in 10 years. So in your, in your buyers folder, you're going to have a recap form. This is where you're going to actually sit down and say, and actually recap them. Do they have to sign a buyer's agency agreement at that moment? They don't have to, but you should have a recap form, and just in case they do, you have a buyer's agency agreement, just in case they would like to go ahead and commit. Then you'll have a vendors list. That's home inspectors, mortgage companies, after you've heard their story, right? And mortgage companies, if they haven't been pre-approved already, appraisers, if it's cash, home warranty options in all of your packets, any other vendor that you may find helpful to your clients. So if there is a vendor out there that does something special, like contractor list, that usually works really well, a painter's list, and that way that's something they could use even after they close, because when you move into a house, the first thing and the cheapest thing to do is paint. And so some people don't have, you know, these lofty goals, and they're like, oh, I just want to paint it. And they don't have the time to do it themselves. So, oh, she gave me this. And they'll open up the file and they'll see your face with your card in there, and they'll see, you know, you'll have your logo on all of your vendor lists, with the disclosure that we talked about at RECAD, right? That you're not responsible for the quality of work that each vendor delivers. You're gonna have your card, of course. And then you're gonna have a small about me brochure. That's for them. The buyer consult is not for you to talk about you, it's for them to talk about them. But when they get home, they will probably browse through it one more time. And so that's when you could include a little, you know, a 1 page, or just like not even a 1 page, but just a small trifold or something that says about you, a picture of you, your family. So they look at you as a human being, right? And then what I do for you breakdown. This is your value proposition, right? So not only are you looking for properties for them online, but if you run, this is something you can break down into, hey, if we don't find anything, I'm gonna hunt for you. I'm gonna go out and maybe knock on a couple of FSBO's doors, see if they'd be willing to pay a commission on my side, and then come show you these houses as well, right? Because any commission is better than no commission. So, and then a market snapshot to give expectation of the market. So I included a market snapshot here, and this one's an old one, but it's just to give you an idea. And this is in their buyer consult folder. And basically it tells them that they had in during these 24 hours that I pulled this, there were 96 new listings. There were 144 new contracts, and there were 101 closings. So what that tells me is I'm going to sit down with Mr. Buyer and say, okay, so I'm seeing that there are only 96 new listings and 144 contracts written. We're already in a deficit, according to these numbers. So what this creates is, once you find out how soon they want to purchase, it creates the momentum for them to go ahead and get excited and move forward with the pre-approval as fast as possible, because they want to get to the next step, because they don't want to miss out on the inventory. Okay.
So we can print that out daily. Is that we can go in? Is that a daily sheet?
Yeah. So this is a command thing that I put together for one of my listing presentations, actually, and
you have to create it.
yeah. And so, but these numbers are in Paragon.
Oh, those are okay.
Yeah.
And you just pull them over to command, right? Okay.
Yeah. Just type them in. So fairly simple. Took me about 5 minutes, because all I did was drag over the logo and type it in. So be careful that it's updated, because like I said, this one says updated 3/22/22, so you don't want to have an old date on there. And also give credit to BCAR, information taken from Baldwin County Association of Realtors. So in your consult folder, you need to have a questionnaire for your buyer to gain common ground and get to know your future customer. So this is where they're going to be talking about themselves. This is where you set market expectations. And then this is where you do a what to expect throughout the contract process. And this is where you do the expectations. So this is what's going to happen throughout my contract process. And actually I've included a couple of forms that does lay it out step by step for them. So, and this is actually how home buying works. That's what you're going to have in your consult folder. And this is on your OneDrive. So you can either do your own custom presentation or just pull this one off OneDrive. And all I did was choose the pages that I wanted to include in my own presentation.
Do you email this for the buyers from out of town?
We can do it over the phone or via Zoom, and I'll email it to them so they're going over it. So scheduling the appointment. Do I have 2 volunteers to come up here?
Jen, go.
You go.
Well, I knew that. No, somebody else. I always go. Somebody else go.
Tori, you want to come?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And Melinda?
Sure, I'll do it.
It's easy peasy. All you have to do is read. Someone needs to be the customer and someone needs to be the agent.
Sorry.
I'll try not to stand in front of you. Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
I'll get one of those.
The joys of getting old. I know.
Well, wait a minute. You want to be the agent?
Okay.
I'll be the customer.
All right.
Hello, I'm looking for a property in your area and I have no idea where to start.
Well, great. I can definitely help you. Given that you are starting fresh, would you be able to meet this week to discuss what your needs are?
Well, I'm not from this area. I'm actually from out of state.
No worries. I completely understand. We can meet Zoom, or we can simply have a conference call. Will you have a co-buyer coming along with you?
Yes, my husband will be on the call as well.
Okay, great. What day? What time works best for you?
And then you set up a time. Isn't that easy?
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel hard when we're talking to people and trying to get them pinned down for a buyer consult? In the thick of it? So
I always think it's easy, except for sometimes it, like, I always have to remember to pin a time down, even
yeah.
to try, or sometimes you have to throw out a time to them because it'll keep stretching out
Yes.
if you don't throw it out. And all of a
Yes.
sudden it's been a week, since you talked to them.
Exactly. And so you want to try to capture that person as fast as possible because they go from warm to cold, So you want to catch them when they're hot and like ready to go and start doing their search. Thank you guys. So it's that simple. Sometimes people will say, well, I don't know. I have to work and I don't get off work till 6. That's okay. I'm available at 6:30. You want to do 6:30? So sometimes when we make the suggestion without the question, like Tori said, so what I've noticed in my managing role is sometimes when I ask nicely, I'll get a million reasons of why not. Why can't I do this? But sometimes if I say, okay, we're doing this at 4:00. So see you at so-and-so. And that's when they're like, okay, well, that's fine. So it's all about phrasing it and it's all about feeling out your customer, seeing where they are. If they can come into the office and do a face-to-face meet, that would be even better. Because when you get someone in front of you, if they're out of state, that's out of your control. But when you get someone in front of you, it consolidates that relationship. You've had actual contact with them face-to-face and there's a connection that they now feel loyalty to you. And that comes naturally. And now if your personalities don't match, then they're going to leave regardless of whether or not they have a signed buyer's agency agreement. So just know having that face-to-face contact is golden.
Could that take place at their home or wherever they are at the present time?
Yes, or over coffee in a restaurant, yeah. If I feel like the person is nervous or real tense, I'll try to make it a little more laid back and do like a coffee shop or a restaurant. So it's time for the consult. Do I have anyone that wants to come up here and do a consult with me? So we already went over the phone call on how it goes on scheduling the consult, right? So how would we handle an objection to someone not wanting to schedule a consult? Have we ran across that?
I've run across not like in person yet, because a lot of times, sometimes they'll be like, well, can you just kind of send me some properties and kind of, if they already want to start getting some information before they actually meet,
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are just shopping
Uh-huh.
and they don't want to necessarily meet right then. They're like, well, can you just kind of give me an idea what's out there? Maybe send me some property,
Yeah.
And you got to kind of push them to be like, well, that's great, but I really need more information. I'd really like to sit down and try to get exactly what you're looking for. You try to come up with reasons to meet with them, but sometimes they just aren't ready, which also sometimes shows you they're not quite ready to maybe buy yet.
Right. It really weeds out who's serious to move forward and who's not. I received a Facebook lead a few months ago and they said, hey, we need to purchase a home. And I said, okay, what day for a buyer consult works for you? And within 3 days, we had the buyer consult nailed down. And it was a simple phone call in my car while I was driving to another appointment. So like, it helps you really weed out the ones. And then what should we do if they don't want to commit? And they give you their email address and their information. Besides putting them in our database, what should we do?
I was saying set them up on a smart plan for one thing.
Yeah, follow up with it.
Yeah, follow up. And also, not only that, but I automatically put any of my buyers that come to me for a property on an automatic drip on Paragon. I almost said Naviga, good Lord. So I put them on according to what they told me, because that way I can see what they're looking at. And if they open up a property, I can go ahead and say, I noticed you looked at this property. What was your feedback on it? You can see what they're looking at if you do it through Paragon. So, and that way, for example, I received a property from an agent I talked to maybe 6 months ago in Minnesota. And I just inquired about one property, but he set me up on an automatic drip for properties that were around the same criteria of the one that I inquired on. So it's pretty cool that he did that, because it reminded me, and I actually looked at it and I said, oh, this is pretty interesting. And then they'll be, if they're truly interested, you'll be their contact. So who would like to come up for the consult? Do I need to choose someone?
I'll do it.
Okay. So I have one of these for you, so I'll give you that. So of course I should have all of this already done by the time the person comes in. So I say, all right, Miss Becky, thank you for coming in and meeting me. It's so nice to meet you.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you.
Okay, great. So how about we take a seat over here in my conference room, and does this have a lever to go down?
It stays up. Okay.
Do you want me to sit there?
Yeah.
I can sit there.
Oh, there is. It's on the very edge. Yeah, I could barely get up there because I'm short, so I always. Okay, great. So first, let's get to know each other. I'm Yady Perez. I work here, as you can see, in Keller Williams. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Becky Constantine just moved to the area,
Okay.
so looking for a house
Okay. And where did you move from?
from Chicago.
From Chicago. Wow. Was that like super big culture shock?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what brought you down to this area? Like
The weather.
the weather?
Yes.
Okay. And are you here all alone or?
No, I'm married.
Okay. And do you have any other family in the area?
No.
No? Okay. Have you made friends or anything?
Yes. Just a few. Yes. Handful. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. We all need like someone to lean on that's outside of
And this
sometimes.
is actually not true about me.
Yeah.
We didn't have this kind of consultation with our real estate agent.
We can or can't.
I said, we didn't have, when we were buying house, we didn't have this nice conversation.
So me asking,
We're like, okay, sign.
like, yeah, so me having like this conversation, I think it tells me more about them emotionally, about the customer.
I agree, I do like this, but
Yeah.
I'm telling like about our experience. We weren't.
Do you
It was
feel
like that.
connected to that agent? There you go. So,
I mean, we actually found everything by ourselves. We just invited her for closing. That's it.
well, that does happen sometimes.
That's a great client.
Yeah.
I'd like to work for you. I'll
Yeah,
call
but she
you
should be
when
sitting.
it's
Are you not getting anything from her?
I'll sit in the parking lot.
She should be. You should still be on her mail list for life. Don't
We
you
do,
think?
no, she
Yes.
sends a
Yes.
calendar once a year, like with the
No.
game schedule.
Yeah. So there's a
I don't know,
shift
me and my
coming and we'll
husband
see the
email
ones.
and like stuff.
Okay, so tell me more about what, so you came here for the summer and
Right.
the nice weather.
Right.
Tell me more about that.
Because my husband and I are going to retire soon, so
Okay.
we'd always heard about Fairhope, and we thought we'd just jump in and move.
Oh, that's so awesome. So you'd like to be around the Fairhope area?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. And are you expecting any visitors coming in from out of town?
Yes, all the time.
Okay, great.
Frequently because of the beaches.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Can you tell me more about like your visitors that you'll be having over?
Well, I needed one guest bedroom on the main level because my parents are elderly. So,
Okay.
Yes. So,
Okay.
and then I would also like our master bedroom to be on the. So I need at least two. If I have a two-story, I need 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Okay, so you don't have a preference as long as the master bedroom is downstairs and maybe a mother-in-law suite
Yes.
downstairs.
Correct.
Would you be okay if the mother-in-law suite is detached from the home, or does it have to be in the home?
I would prefer it to be in the home.
Okay, perfect. And what is the top number of bedrooms you'd like to have?
But I'd like at least 5.
At least 5?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. Are you gonna have an office or?
Yes, I want an office and my husband wants an office. That's why we need at least 5 bedrooms.
Oh, I see. I see.
Or if we have an office that's not a bedroom, but I still need then another bedroom for my office.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So 5 bedrooms, preferably, maybe 4, and
4 with an office.
4 with an office.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Great. And have you been pre-approved yet?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
we're paying cash. I'm sorry. We're paying cash.
Okay, you're paying cash.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And are you going to want an appraisal?
Yes.
Okay.
We would.
You would?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, in your folder, I have a list of appraisers there that you could choose from. Just call them, talk to them, see which one you'd like to work with best, and then let me know, and I'd be happy to schedule that for you.
And I also want a gunite pool.
A gunite pill. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes. I don't want to mess with putting one in because I'm doing it now. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so home with a pool.
Yes.
And in-law suite inside the
Yes,
home and
yes.
master bedroom downstairs.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Do you have a preference whether or not it's in a subdivision?
Yes, I do want subdivision and I want brick.
You want brick home?
Yes.
Okay, 4-sided brick.
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a preference as much as as far as how big your lot?
I do not want over an acre.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So a lot of the subdivisions here most of them are under an acre, so I think we should be okay. What price range do you have?
I want to stay under $1 million.
Under $1 million?
Yeah, and also I need a walk-in shower for the guest bedroom downstairs. I have
Okay.
to have a walk-in shower.
Okay.
So
Okay, so what I'll do is I will send out some properties that best fit your criteria, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Now you're paying cash, so that's pretty fine. We'll find your home. So what I'm going to
I have one more thing.
Uh-huh.
We have to have a 3-car garage.
a 3-car garage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. Do you have any preferences as far as where in Fairhope you'd like to be?
No, not really. Just I don't want something older. I'd like something probably built, I'd say, after 2014, 2015, and newer.
What if it's been remodeled?
Then that's good.
Okay. Okay. Good. So, all right. So we'll get started on that, and I'll start sending you properties. As far as what you're looking for, if you find that what we're looking for, what I'm sending doesn't fit your needs or your criteria, we're going to have to regroup. And we're going to see if it's maybe an issue of the price range or maybe an issue of needs. Some of them, I see that they're needs. And then what would you define as your needs versus wants?
My needs would be 3-car garage and the 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Okay.
That guest bedroom has to have a walk-in shower. I guess that's not, we could always redo that, but
Right.
yeah, those are 3-car garage. You can't change. I have to have that.
Okay.
And 2 bedrooms downstairs. That's not something we can change. So that, and brick, I'm not going to
Right. Okay.
do, yeah.
I think finding a brick home around here isn't going to be hard, and finding a all one level home isn't going to be hard.
It doesn't have to be all one level. But
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as having the walk-in shower for the guest
Yes.
bedroom, that might be a little
Right.
hard.
Right.
So if it's under $1 million, are you willing to do some renovations to it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we know up front, we set the expectation that we might not find a home with all of her wants and needs. So then it's just kind of saying, well, are you willing to do remodel? And that kind of opens it up a little bit, okay? Now, as far as your countertops, do you have like preferences? Would you prefer like a solid countertop, or is Formica okay?
I would prefer, no, I don't want Formica, but that's a minor thing because we can always go in and change that. But, you know, I prefer probably granite if I can
Okay.
get it.
And
Or
also,
some kind of a stone.
yeah, and also your cabinets. Do you have any preferences on cabinets?
I do not want white.
No white cabinets. Okay.
That's
That
so weird.
That is okay.
Right. I was
Hate
like,
white cabinets.
Tell her you know a painter.
so we kind of covered everything in this questionnaire already. So we already know that she's okay with 2 stories. She wants 5 bedrooms, that she's gonna have people over, so it's important for her to have a larger home. What square footage are you interested in?
Definitely over 3,000.
We know that she needs a 3-car garage. Can you tell me more about that? Why is it so important to have a 3-car garage?
Because we have a 2-car right now and it's hard to get in and out.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
yes.
I'm
We hate
sure.
it. So,
And do you mind if the home has like an HOA?
that's fine.
That's fine?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a good question to ask.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's it. Well, thank you for coming in, and I will get started. And before you go, now, do you consider yourself to be super savvy when it comes to real estate, or are you, or do you think you would like, since you're from out of town, you would like me to give you more advice? And
Since I'm out of town, I need the advice, yes.
okay, so what I'm going to present to you next is going to be a real estate agency disclosure form, and it explains the way real estate agents work in Alabama. And you guys all know WCAT, so I'm not going to present this whole thing. But then she agreed she needs a little more help. So I'm guessing, would you like to be under buyer agency, since then I could give you advice?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so under buyer agency, basically, I present the form and I just let her know that if we run across anything that is not on the market and it's a for sale by owner, there's a 2.5% commission that may be due to me. Of course, if you see a property that you really like, I will contact the owner and see if he's willing to work with a real estate agent so that the seller takes care of it for you. But just letting you know that.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me? Okay.
so, and if you can give them advice, so, and they ask you, is this neighborhood good?
There's a demographics button in our MLS page when we send it, and you're welcome to pull it up.
Okay. And you just pull it up and send it to them, but you do not answer like, no, this neighborhood is not safe or whatever. This is like, we can't say that.
Right.
We just went through this. I have bought a house and yeah, there was nothing out there.
So when you do the purchase agreement timeline, when they go under contract, and there's an actual purchase agreement timeline out there for you guys and it tells you, like, you can write in and fill in the blanks on how many business days you gave for each contingency and what those dates, the expiration dates of each will be. And if you're a paper person and you have a file for each client, then you staple this to their file. That way, when they go under contract, you go in, and when you do your daily revisions in the morning or whenever you do them, then you would go through and check off, make sure you didn't forget something along the way.
And this is usually the days within it should be done.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, when you got to the recap part, okay? So she said, and say your client or your potential client says, okay, yes, I want a buyer agreement, buyer agency. And then when you throw out that about signing, and they say, I just don't feel good about signing. You know, some people freak out when you ask them to sign anything.
Right.
Maybe a check, whatever. But you know, what's your recourse, or what do you do then?
Well, that's okay if you don't want to sign. What we'll do is, for now, we'll stay as transaction broker, and I'll help you any way I can along the way.
But then you go back and say, but I can't give you.
I just won't give you advice, but I will present to you everything that you need to make your decision successfully. if you find that you still need a little extra help, then we could go back and discuss buyer's agency again.
So can you tell us example of the advice? Like, they ask you for advice on.
Can you give them a CMA then?
You can send them comps as transaction broker. You can't send them a CMA as transaction broker. As single agent, you can. And if they say, do you think we're offering the right price?
Oh, so that's.
As transaction broker, the price is all up to you. What are you willing to pay for this? You know, this is what the market shows, and then you send, I'd be willing to send you some comps. And that's when you send them comps, and then they come to an agreement on the price that they like. If they say, but can you tell me the price? Would you like to sign a buyer's agency agreement? You know.
If they stay,
I'll be like, how do I know? I don't know.
Don't want to do that, so you're gonna stay with transaction broker. Where does your fee come in? Your fee, I mean, we're not giving them, we're not gonna be their transaction broker for free.
No, but the listing agent pays your.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
So they're gonna pay it
on the
regardless.
Yeah.
Of whether you're the buyer agent.
Right.
Or agency or you're in
Right.
transaction, okay.
Yeah, so they're gonna, if they say, what is the difference? Does it cost me any more to be an agency with you? Really, a lot of buyers, they're thinking about money at this stage. So they, you know, they're gonna ask you, are you, you know, what is it gonna cost to me? What is the difference in money if I go under buyer agency to you? And I said, well, as long as we find a property within the MLS, then there's, you know, no fee to you directly, because the listing agent will provide the other broker X amount of commission. When it'll come into play is going to be if I have a for sale by owner that will not pay commission. If you still want me to represent you, then you would have to pay my realtor fee. Yeah. So, and a lot of the times people want their agent there, and you could come to a resolution between seller and buyer as far as commission negotiated between the two of them. Does anyone have any questions for me about buyer's consult? Did you guys learn anything new that you didn't know?
So can I ask, this is what was on, these printouts I haven't gotten yet. Is that what was on the buyer's, that little?
Buyer's resources.
Yeah, in command.
It's, well, this one is in command, and it's under the local expert one, for buyers. And then this one is also in command, and it's under buyer presentation or buyer consult.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah.
Like my computer.
Yeah, and so this is a buyer consultation, but basically, in that file, I have like a 6-page questionnaire, and it looks a lot better than this. So it's actually tailored, you know, with KW. And what you would do is you would fill in that questionnaire as they're telling you all of their information, and you can make copies of it and give it to them, or keep the copy for yourself and give them the original. And that way, if they're ever like, well, this isn't working, we're not finding everything, okay, let's go back, let's look at what we discussed on that buyer press consultation, let's regroup and see what we can do. Yeah. And see where we need to make some adjustments. So, so then what happens after you guys do all of this? What happens after contract? Then you would say, okay, so these are the deadlines we have to meet. And I would suggest that you send them a copy of this and just say, these are the deadlines we have to meet. We need to have the inspection done by this date, the appraisal done by this date, and that way they are also responsible for it. Just because you're an agency doesn't mean that you're the only one responsible for all of this. So that it leaves the responsibility on them as well to make sure that they're reaching their deadlines and to make them aware.
So if the buyer out of town and then you send them the list of inspectors and stuff and they tell you, you pick one.
No.
You say, no, you tell me the name and I can schedule an appointment for you.
Yeah.
But I need to know the name that you pick. Right?
Yes, yes. So call them and say, I can't choose your inspector. Talk to at least 3 of them and see which one you like the best. And let me know their name and number, and I'll get in touch with them to schedule the
But the lender, you can, like, to suggest them specific lender. Like,
I would not, because choosing the wrong lender for someone can really mess up your sale. Because if the lender messes it up, you miss out on that sale. Because you're the front person for that.
You wouldn't choose it for them, but it would go back to what you said earlier. You would give them a list. Let's say they're struggling with their credit score.
Yeah.
You would already have 2 or 3 lenders that they work with.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
how do you do that? Okay, if you don't have cards, like you can, if you're meeting them face to face and give them cards of, mortgage companies, how would you give them a card of Keller Williams though?
Of Keller Mortgage?
Yeah,
So you can send them the information for
Okay.
Keller Mortgage through their email.
okay.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
they can go.
So just don't choose one lender to suggest, but always have a list of 2 or 3 lenders that do different things on each category. That way you know which, well, this lender's not gonna fight for this buyer because their file requires
What
a
if
lot
we
of
don't
work.
know
So
yet? What if we don't know? What if I have someone that I need to get pre-approved and I know just Chase and Kim?
then you ask your colleagues and they will.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes giving them, some lenders will help you close the deal because like you're doing with a condo or something, they don't know. A lot of lenders don't do a condo, so.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's really good for us to build relationships with our lenders to know how that only happens through getting to know the people that you're in business with. And the people you're in business with are lenders, inspectors, appraisers, and if you have contractors or painters, and just by asking your sphere, like, who did you use for your remodel? Were you happy with the work? What quality? And if you've seen it and you like the work, maybe that's someone you can jot down. You can give them a call and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent, and would you be willing, if I ever have anything come up, is it okay if I refer you? And a lot of them say, no, I'm too busy, or a lot of them will say, sure, here's my number.
I did back years ago with Mortgage One. So I did a monthly flyer that I just printed off from some company, just real estate information. And I went in with a mortgage lady, and so both of our information was on it, and she did the postage for me. So it's, it saved me a lot of money, and we did that once a month.
Yeah.
So
building
it really helped.
Yeah, building lender relationships is very important.
I get a lot of people from out of state. What do you do? Is there any reason that we should be concerned when they want the lender that they have for their home state or out of state? Got that going on.
No, so the way that it works is to set the expectation that because that there may be extra requirements just because the lender and maybe the underwriting team is not from the area. That's really just set that expectation up front and just say, sometimes lenders from our area don't know how to handle certain situations, for example, like termites, and things like that. But I haven't had horrible.
But why lenders supposed to handle termites?
Well, sometimes they don't know that they need things like termite inspections and things like that.
Because if you're from the north, they don't even know what a termite is.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we got down here, I mean, that was a big, thing about termites.
So the lender actually ordered like the termite inspection and stuff?
No, but they might not understand the purchase agreement the right way.
Okay.
to be able
Well,
to,
our lenders have wanted a copy of that. That's a closing table.
yeah,
So as, you know, to
Yeah.
show that there's no infestation and,
yeah.
yeah, and down here, I get that. I mean, I get that, but I've got people that are, does the lender tell people, please do not make major purchases while you're
Right.
pre-approved?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mine have gone out and bought a car, bought a boat. I'm like, stop that.
So-
And I think, is that our job to say that, or is it the lender's job to say
It's
that?
both of your jobs. So in this, how home buying works, it actually runs them down step by step. I gave this out. So it says partner with an agent, get pre-approved for a loan, find your new home, make your offer, negotiate the terms. And then when we're under contract, and it lists everything. Before you close, what to bring on closing day and closing day. Then you need to say here, financing your future. So it tells you what to do and not to do. So it say, please, Miss Becky, if you are financing your home, please do not make any major purchases until after you close. Even the day of closing, they rerun your credit. So please do not purchase anything or run your credit from the moment we put in this, you put in your application for pre-approval until closing. The day after closing or that afternoon, as soon as you sign the papers, you're welcome to go buy your boat, your furniture, but in the meantime, please don't do it.
Or change jobs. I had a buyer change jobs,
Yeah,
like
Oh,
3
me
weeks
too.
before closing.
yeah.
It was like, okay.
Yeah, so it says do not make large purchases, apply for or acquire additional lines of credit, pay off or transfer. If they say that if they're perfectly fine, like accepting them the way their debt is right now, they don't need to be paying off everything. And then do not change jobs, co-sign for another person. I had someone get killed on this because they co-signed for someone. Or pay off collections before consulting with your lender. So if you're gonna make any major credit decisions, please speak with your lender before you do that.
Tell them to communicate. I know the other day I had a buyer without me knowing. I guess he was gonna tell me the next day, but I just happened to talk to the lender, and they were like, and she just mentioned, she was like, hey, well, now that he added his dad on the mortgage,
Yeah,
we're gonna do this, and I was like, added his dad. I was like, what? So
yeah,
then I had to go back on the offer,
yeah,
change that. But he didn't think that, he was like, he didn't think once he got to the mortgage
Yeah.
part, it didn't affect anything else. I was like,
Exactly.
you gotta tell me this stuff.
yeah,
So I mean, it wasn't a huge deal, but.
yeah. It could have been if that dad didn't
Yeah.
qualify later.
Please communicate if you're doing any changes.
Yeah, and then also what they need to have on hand, there's a list of what they need to have. So what to have on hand, so the lender's gonna ask you for a month's worth of your most recent pay stubs and copies of your tax returns for the last 2 years, names and addresses of your employers over the last 2 years if you've changed jobs, the last 3 months of bank statements, a copy of your real estate agreement, and the names and addresses of the landlords over the past 2 years. And if you've been divorced, they're going to ask for a divorce decree. Also, if you are paying child support, they'll need the paperwork on that. And if you went through a bankruptcy and it's been discharged, they'll need those papers as well. So this is what the buyer consult is for, is for you to tell them, this is what we can't do. This is what you're gonna need for the lender, what they're going to ask you once you have that, that consultation with them and you choose. So, and like I said, this is on the how home buying works.
If you have someone though, because if you bought a home several times,
Mhm.
you really wouldn't go through this process.
No, that's why I asked you if you feel savvy, if you've
Okay,
purchased numerous homes, because according to the answer, that's how I move forward. If they're first-time home buyers, I say, okay, let's sit down and this is how the process is going to be. And I do step by step with them. And we'll go through the inspection process, and these are the things that may go wrong in this area. If the house is older, there may be more cosmetic things on there. Please don't freak out as soon as you see the home inspection. Take your time, read through it, and then come to me and let me know which items you'd like to address. And that's it. That's all I got.